Now we're going to look at how we can use this brush for 3 different tools. So far, we've learned about the pen tool and the pencil tool, and I'm going to introduce to you the paintbrush tool. So for our pen tool, I'm going to go ahead and grab it. I've got this little panel pulled out here for my pen tool, but of course you can find it up here on the left side. And I'm, just going to take it and kind of start to trace my ear for a little bit, just as an example. Of course, click and drag, click and drag. Of course, I've gone through this in previous videos, and some of you have actually met with one-on-one to discuss how I do this, where with the pen tool, you kind of pinpoint a peak of the curve, whether it's the lowest point or the highest point of the curve towards the middle, and you click and drag to curve your line, click and drag to curve it out. So now I have this outline here of my ear. And with the line selected, with my stroke select, I can go over to my brush panel. I have it open already. And select that drawing brush standard that we just made in the last video. Did you see that? Let me go back again. Watch these lines. Watch this line. When I select this brush, boom. You might notice both ends tapered some. This brush has now been applied to this line. And of course, I look at that and I think, okay, well, that's kind of thin. That's more like a hairline. I can go to my stroke panel here. And again, if you don't see that, you go to window at the top and then down to stroke. I've got that open and I can go to my weight for my stroke and I can bump it up a bit. So now this brush has been applied to this line and it also is affected by your stroke weight. How cool is that? So now I've got that nice looking line there. That is with the pen tool. With the pencil tool, it's very similar. Now, if you select your pencil tool, it might be underneath your shaper tool. I'm not sure why that is, but you might see the shaper tool first. You have to click and hold, go down to your pencil tool. And I also like to double click on this. When I double click on this, I get to see my settings for my pencil tool. Sometimes your fidelity setting might be further to the left towards more accurate. That typically is very nice to have because it's more accurate to what it does is it's saying when you draw a line, is the line that it produces going to be closer to what you actually drew, or is it going to try to smooth it out for you? I like to kind of have mine in the middle because a little bit of smoothing is nice, but and super accuracy can kind of catch little nuance shakiness. That's not always ideal. So then I usually, if I have it more accurate, I have to kind of go back in and clean up the lines anyway. So having a little bit of smoothness is nice. So kind of keeping that in the middle can be helpful. Using my pencil tool, I'm going to draw that same edge of my ear. Of course, with pencil tool, it's just as simple as clicking and dragging. And there you go. With that line selected, I'm going to go to my brushes and apply my drawing standard brush that I made. And I'm going to go to my stroke panel and raise that weight again. And there you go. That does sound a little bit tedious. The fact that you would probably have to go through your whole drawing, and if you use pen or pencil, you draw the lines first and then go back and apply your brush to it. It does make a little bit more work for you. But if that's something, if you're more comfortable with the pen tool, then by all means, go for it. More power to you. Use that. So that's pen and pencil drawing with those lines. Now I'm going to introduce the paintbrush tool here on the left. It just looks like a paintbrush. Works very similar to the pencil tool. And I'm going to go to my brushes, select this drawing brush standard. But now I get to draw directly with this brush. I don't draw a line first and then apply the brush. I draw directly with it. So I'm just going to start up here. And I go down some here. Because I'm wiggling and getting a little bit off. I am using my mouse, by the way, to draw with. I do have a tablet that I prefer to use, but for the sake of this class, I realize most of you are drawing either with a mouse on your computer or even on a trackpad with your laptops. Now, I will say trackpads can be a little trickier, in my opinion. Some people like the trackpads better, whatever works for you. As long as you get to make some precise lines, that's all I really care about. So down here, I kind of got a little sloppy with my lines. I'm going to clean them up some. My curves with those as well. Very good. But here we see the product of using the paintbrush. I mean, it's very simple. Go back in and draw this other curve here. Boom. Would you like it better? Different parts of the ear here. Would you look at that? Starting to draw an ear. The different, stroke thicknesses can be changed again in your stroke panel. So that's up to you. This is how we use all three of these tools to produce lines and then add our brush to them that we made, our custom brush. So now that we've looked at these tools, you get to decide which one you want to use. And we're going to go ahead in the next video and start drawing our self-portrait.